Logan's doing a Pokemon video! Get the camera! Welcome back to BitLists. Today, we've got a Patreon pick, where our own elite, Jordan Osceola, sends in his topic of choice. Thanks so much for the support, Jordan. Time to pay it forward. With the hype train rocketing towards the sun and shooting the moon, it's only courtesy to dig up another excuse to blab on about the power that's inside. But good lord, that's too bright. Dim the lights. Aroma ladies and gentlemans, I'll be your dark-type gym leader for the evening. It's a secret to nobody that Pokemon holds more than Saturday morning cheese and the 34 rules we don't follow. Depth, effort, and balls. The squeaky clean windshield veils a ton of inner evil, tragedy, and some of the creepiest lore known to player kind. Though I chose black too, so we're working with challenge mode on. All anime, manga, TCG, and fan-made content is excluded. Only looking at the video games here. Definitely limits the choices, but now I know you're struggling to predict me. By the crest of Lunala, onward! What's an adventure without a driving force? Pokemon goes through a lot of villains. Some come and go, others stay. With an E rating that feeds you lies, do we eat up the idea of tame villains? Well, yeah, kinda. Most of them are, ranging from the typical mobster greedhounds to impetuous glam Nazis. The grunts suck. Period. And they're about as loony buffoony as it gets. So the big boss men are our only dead outlet. While Cyrus and Lysander offer intense motives and poetic speech, there's only one team figurehead I can truly call rotten to the core.
You're all nothing but fools.
I know this isn't something Gen 5 is praised for, well, when it does get praise, but I can't skip across the villain. Ghetsis is a bad motherfucker. Debuting as a self-disguised Pokemon activist, was exponentially unveiled to be what is the most evil character within the games. He may be one away from being stock baddie of the week, but he carries himself as a despicable piece of shit with a big stick and a respectable pool of intelligence. Bland in motivation, in fact he's actually quite cliched, but I can never look at this fucker and feel like everything's okay. He's selfish, he's cruel. Ghetsis combines the worst of humanity with the level of intimidation matched only by Cyrus. With his true feelings towards N, a kid he raised purely for his own desired dominance and unhesitant desire to fucking murder the player in the coldest blood, cements the true King Plasma as a demoralizing dark type. And that fucking arm makes Giovanni look like Chibi Torio. One of the more common, more disturbing themes within the series is a problem our own world has. Though it is fantasy, things don't get much more realistic than selfish humans abusing power they don't deserve. You know, it hits home. In fact, most of the crime organizations partake in figurative property damage in some way or another. Ghetsis equated to a cinder block trashing my favorite window. But a step into the Colosseum and along the path of darkness is where I say goodbye to my fucking roof. I know every villain to be lemons, but freshly squeezed Cipher wouldn't quench even the thirstiest bitch. It is nasty. As the dominant antagonist of the Shadow Pokemon games, these rejected Power Rangers claim the dishonor of this franchise's most depraved baddies. Sounds stupid when you witness the cheese that is their character designs, but these mooks stoop to the lowest level possible to snag that token world domination. Cipher is the only crime organization that thrives on Pokemon abuse, using Arceus knows what methods to turn their hearts into generators of darkness. It's disturbing when you view the very concept of the Shadow Pokemon. These are Pokemon that are stolen from trainers, condemned to a life as a sentient weapon to an army of cruel criminals who artificially shut the door to their heart. It can be summed up as emotional euthanization. That's not fucked up at all. I'll be honest, the idea is dark enough on its own, but it's only number 4 because of the ambiguity. It's never gone into detail as to what exactly Cipher does to these Pokemon to turn them heartless, and there's never direct cruelty exchanged in the flesh. A twisted part of me wants to know more, but I wouldn't want my favorite Generation 3 games to be banned. Before they became monster makers, Game Freak must have delved into housing commissions for the dead, cause it seems whatever building they intend on selling to us is cursed by the Hasta la Creepypasta, the possible destroyer of creativity. It's like a running gag, that gag being what Bayonet's trying to do to you behind your back. Generation 5 didn't have any real disturbing material, unless you read the Pokédex, or stumbled upon Unova's Marvelous Bridge. On occasion, a weird little girl will sometimes appear in this location in black and white, just to stand there, and will disappear if you choose to walk closer. Did I huff some dodgy energy powder? Oh, no, she was just a ghost. Ah, that's cool. Ghost? Huh. At the time, people might have just assumed that she fell off the bridge and died? No, that would have been too simple. It's only until we play the awesome sequels that we learn what really happened. You again. Black and White 2's Strange House is still the most horrifying location in the franchise, without question, mainly because of the horrible tragedy it one day hosted. It's here that we discovered that same little girl share a vague summary of what is heavily implied as her own death. Turns out, she was trapped in an eternal nightmare and subconsciously killed by a Darkrai! Bulbapedia, and even the map description doesn't work with me, but I know what the game is telling me. Experiencing this optional story arc fills you with empty understanding and a gruesome fascination, like walking through the blood-stained pages of the one scary story you always trembled at as a kid. I'll get some claims saying that this is probably too theoretical to count, but I feel there's enough evidence to write this off as true. We know that Darkrai killed her, but we don't know why. Was it murder or self-defense? Seeing how Darkrai has official portrayals as good and bad, there's no knowing. This is fucking scary, man. Shove that rated E up your rated A and let me out of here! To the most devoted of followers, Pokemon brings on the feels like no other, even ignoring the worldwide surges of passion from such a huge fanbase. I believe this series can spark every emotion within. It's not called Hokemon, I'm just sharing. But outside the "I miss my childhood" reflections and severely underrated movies, it's none too often those gaming freaks turn into tearjerkers. Once upon a time, X and Y made me sad out of perhaps unjust disappointment. One subpar video and couple years later, and they make me sad because they earned it. One of Generation 6's newer characters is a strange man known as AZ. For a while, we got little to no info on him, even within the story itself. But we eventually learn of what he's been through and what he is. The ancient king of Kalos. 3 millennia prior to X and Y, King AZ's loved one, the Eternal Floette, departed to fight in a war, but died in battle. Crushed, he somehow built a device to revive his little flower. He was successful, but the king couldn't forgive the world for harming his partner, and so the device became the ultimate weapon, which was used to end the war. AZ had become destructive. Floette knew that her resurrection resulted in death for so many other Pokemon. She left him. The king was now immortal and alone. Someone left some goddamn onions out! I mean, wow. The tragedy of AZ stoops to emotional extremes of sad and dark. The plight between him and Floette tugs on the heartstrings before snapping them. And the ending. Immortal. This man is immortal. You start as an A, end as a Z. But as a man who is both, there is only life. there are fates worse than death. And living? Ugh, that's just a fancy word for pain. The game ends happy, but that's all that can end. Long live the king. How I've gone on for 4 segments without even highlighting a single Pokemon's disturbing lore is beyond even Colress. I'm sure that's what a lot of you are thirsty for, so save that change. It's on the house. So, who is it? Cubone's disturbing fate? No. Parasect's slow, painful death by power-hungry Parasite? Keep guessing. Ooh, missing no! I tried turning back. They wouldn't let me. I debated on whether or not I should have done this. I mean, tagging 35 monsters and calling it a single entry is stretching it past Werehog's strike range, but KB would KO me if I didn't.
Damn it, what is up with all these ghost Pokemon?
They be spooky. As my second favorite type, fun fact, I know just how fucked up these lumps of nope really are. No matter the design, it seems every single ghost type Pokemon drips with disturbing concepts, antagonistic energy, creepy behavior, horrifying implications, depressing destinies, and even the blood of trainers. With the exception of maybe Drifblim and the Golett line, there is not a single ghost Pokemon that lightens up the mood. Whether it's Chandelure's burning of souls, Phantump being a stump possessed by dead forest wandering kids, Jellicent's crackening on wandering ships, or oh goddamn, Bayonet's everything. Giving us the creeps is what these guys after live for. And is it any wonder why I love them so much? To me, they offer some of the most brilliant, memorable, and the most impactful thrills I can ever get out of this series, especially when I reminisce on the nightmares. It may be extremely meta in that sense, but only normal types would turn down an awesome ghost story. Dark types or nothing, these Pokegeist don't need a life to breathe some into our own. This has been Fawful's Minion, saying thanks a lot, and I'll see you a bit later. Bye-bye!